All right, everyone. You guys did pretty well on this test. It's your first practice, so it's going to go kind of towards what we did with my fifth graders, looking at the data. You're going to take the first part of the second one this morning, and then you'll take the second part on Monday. And that'll give us our 2 data points, and then we can formulate a plan for you to practice and study on Monday night and Tuesday night, and then the test is on Wednesday. So you'll have 2 days to kind of work through some things, and just like I did with my fifth graders, I'll make sure that I put together some things to help you, okay? Some resources, and yeah, it'll be good. You guys will do just fine. You guys worked really hard, obviously, and it's showing, so keep it up. All right, so this first one here, there's a number line, okay? We want to make sure that we're reading the question and making sure that we're doing it properly. But basically, it's asking for the difference between these two numbers, okay? Or the answer is going to fall in between these two numbers. Okay, now 3 of us got it wrong, but really, this is just basic subtraction, okay? I don't know if we even learned this year because it's stuff that you would know how to do. Now, if you look, okay, at all of those answers, you can't do it in your head. It's just not a good idea. So what you want to do is actually find the answers for all 4. Now, it's important to do all 4 just in case you get 2 answers, because then you may have done something wrong. But we know the range is going to be in between 50,000 and 55,000. So just like with anything else, when we add and subtract, we need to line everything up based on its place value. Okay, so this is the first one. Okay, and then we just subtract. Okay, we borrow. Okay, add the 10 there, get a 6, get a borrow. This becomes 15. Okay, subtract from that, we get 7. Get a borrow again. A lot of borrowing with this question, but it's not too bad. You guys can subtract decimals, so this is a piece of cake. This would be an 8. This is a 3. This is a 4. Okay, so this is 43,876. That would fall, kind of like over here. So that's not going to work. So this is out. Okay, the next one is, well, really, so you can find the answer for them all individually, but if you look, so this is a test-taking strategy. Each one of these is 10,000 less. Okay, so everything here would stay the same, but if this was a 3 instead of a 4, then this would become a 5. Okay, that does fall in here a little bit above the middle part. If this was a 2, like for this one, okay, this would be a 6. That's too much. Okay, and then as if it was a 1, and like so, 2 of you chose this as the answer, but even if you like kind of did this in your head, it really doesn't make any sense. I'm not really sure why 2 chose it. Let's round this to 90,000, and let's subtract 15,000 from it. Okay, that's nowhere near 55,000. Okay, that's going to be 75,000. It's way too high. Okay, so you got to take your time on this question. This is one of those, like, if you're a soccer player, wide open net, all you got to do is kick the ball forward. Okay, and you'll score. This is one of those questions where there are questions later that are harder, that there's a chance that you might get them wrong, okay, and it happens, but we can't get the easy ones wrong, okay? So there's the first one, okay? The second one, we got to estimate the sum, okay, of these 2 numbers. If Bill rounds both numbers to the nearest 100, so he's rounding to the nearest 100th, which is here, and then adds them, what is true about the actual sum? Okay, well, when we round these, we're going to look at this. Okay, so some of you are trying to do this probably in your head, and what you should do is really stop and actually round it. So this is a 9, so that's going to be bumped up to a 600, and that's an 8, so that's going to be bumped up to a 300. Now the question is, what is true about the actual sum, not the rounded sum? Well, since I estimated this up and estimated this up, the actual sum is going to be a little bit less than my estimate. Because since I rounded both of these up, okay, this one's 9 more and this one's 13 more, then the actual one's going to be less, okay, than the estimate. So you can see here, equal to the estimate. Well, that usually doesn't happen, especially if you do have to do some rounding, so that doesn't make any sense. Being more than the estimate, okay, would be that if you rounded down. Now, let's say that, okay, so again, test taking. Actually add these up, okay, because 3 of you said that it was more than the estimate. Well, let's check it, because actually checking it really takes very little time, okay? So if I add these two together, 6, 7, 8, okay, here's my real, here's my estimate. Okay, 3 of you said that this is more than this. And those that did that probably didn't actually add it or probably didn't actually estimate it. Okay, the amount of work that's involved here is very little, okay, but that little work is going to make a big difference in the end because this is one of those easy ones too, okay? And you can see I've written all over the question. We did the cubed thing, okay? Circle, square, you know, you really got to kind of slow yourself down and be able to know what the question is asking, okay? This next one is naked numbers, as we call them. It's just basic subtraction. We had 2 that got it wrong, okay? The big thing that you need to make sure that you do here is everything needs to be lined up in terms of place value. Because if I'm going to subtract a 4, okay, this 5 is worth 500, okay? So we wouldn't do something like this, okay? Because if we do this, think about it. Okay, these are all the place values. So you're saying this is the ones, this is the tens, this is the hundreds, this is the thousands, and this is the 10,000s. So that you're saying that this 6, okay, is worth 60,000. Well, no, it's not. It's worth 6,000. So you have to make sure. So this is no good. Don't want to do that. You got to make sure that you line up your numbers here, okay, based on the place value. And then it says to subtract. It tells us right there. Okay, can't subtract that, so I got to borrow. Can't take from 0, but I could take from here, so this would be a 4. This would become a 10. Borrow from my 10 would make a 9. This becomes my 14. Okay, that is 6. That is a 6. Borrow from here, 3. This becomes a 14. That is 5. Borrow from here. I get a 0. This becomes 13. Okay, and I get a 7. Okay, 7. So then the answer would have to be A. The 2 that got it wrong chose these 2. Okay, we'll just stop and think for a second. Let's even estimate these. Let's make this 15,000. Let's make this 7,000. So I've estimated to check for reasonableness, to see if it makes any sense. Okay, that's with me rounding up on both of them, which means the actual is going to be much less than that. Okay, these don't make any sense. Okay, that's just too much. Okay, so aside from actually finding the correct answer, yeah, you got to use a little bit of your test taking skills. Okay, you don't need to go over number 4. Okay, everybody got that one correct. Okay, this one here, we got 1 that got it wrong. Eric is ordering, okay, 102 boxes of toys. There are 48 toys in each box, which is the best estimate. Okay, well, 102 is super close to 100, so I'm going to round 102 to 100 boxes because it says to estimate. And then 48 is pretty simple too. We're going to round it up to 50. Okay, it just makes logical sense there. Okay, so if there are 50 toys in each box, and then we can estimate, it would be 100 times 50. Placeholder, right? 0, 0, 5, and we get 5,000. Okay, if you even didn't estimate and you actually found the exact here, it's going to be really close to 5,000. So 4,000 doesn't make any sense. Okay, remember, this is the first part of the test, and there's a reason it's in the first part. It's because you really have to work these problems out. Okay, if you really did these type of working these problems out, or even finding the exact answer for these two, it's really not possible to get it wrong. So carelessness, I think, is the case here, and actually of all the ones so far. Number 6, which actually is probably the hardest question on this first part, 100% got it right. Okay, so we don't even have to go over it. It's that some of these easier ones I think that you take for granted. Okay, it's like playing the easy team in whatever sport that you might be in, and you lose to them because you don't take them seriously, and then you play the hard team and you win. You want to play hard against every single team, okay, every single question. Multiples, okay, so getting multiples and factors are always something that you guys get confused. The way I remember it is a factor sounds like fraction, which is smaller. Okay, multiple sounds like multiply, which is going to make it bigger. Okay, because to multiple is when you basically are skip counting. You're making it way bigger. So multiples of 8 are 8, 16, and you'd want to list them. 24, okay, 32, multiply, bigger, multiple, okay, 40, 48. You wouldn't want to do this in your head. That would be silly. And now I'll stop there, okay? And then multiples of 12 are 12, because I stopped at 48 because it stops at 48 here. 12, 24, multiple, multiply, bigger, you're multiplying. Then we got 36, 48, and then I can stop there, okay? So if I look at those multiples, I see that we have 24 and we have 48, okay? 3 of you chose, so 1 of you chose A, and that's factors, okay? So that's the common mistake. Now for this one, okay, this 16 and 24, 3 of you chose this, and this makes really no sense. I would be curious to know, okay, how you got 12, because we do know what common means. It means what they have in common. How that you got 12 into 16, okay? That doesn't really make any sense. So be careful, slow down, remember multiply makes bigger, and then of course the next question are factors, which is making it smaller. We did factors at the very beginning of the year when we were doing the arrays, okay, and we put them, you know, you had the blocks and you put them up on the wall. We did them for like the first 100. So it's all the combinations to be able to multiply up to that answer, and then you guys actually did very well, which this is actually a lot harder, okay, because 21, basically you have to list all the ways to get 21, okay? 2 doesn't work, 3 does work, 7 works, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's it. For 42, we got 1, 42, 2, and 21, and then once you get to 2 and 21, okay, you're kind of back to here, okay, or very similar to that. 3 should work, okay, 3 and, let me think, 12, no, 13, 14, 14, okay, 4, no, 5, no, 6 and 7, okay, and then 49. And 49 is a squared number, I just know that, okay? So squared numbers are usually going to have just that 7 and 7 factor, which is the square, 7 times 7, okay? So if I look at all of these numbers, what is the greatest common factor? Okay, somebody chose 1. Okay, remember, greatest means bigger, the biggest, okay? 1, it can't be the biggest. So if you look at all 3, there it is. It's 7. Okay. This both has 21. This one doesn't. I'm surprised no one chose this, but that's good that no one chose it. Okay. So you can see that even me getting these answers, I'm writing everything out. Okay. I kind of have to. So this one, you should be able to get this one correct, because if you look at number 11, 100% got it correct, which is what is the common denominator here? So you know how to find common denominators because 100% of you got number 11 correct. This is the same thing. Okay, all you got to do is find a common denominator. So I got 8 and 4/5. We can ignore the 8 for now because we can just, subtract that at the end. It'd almost be like this question, number 11. Okay, but instead of 1, it'd be 1/2, and then the other fraction would be my 4/5. Well, if you look at, those, we know that the identity property, is that when I multiply by 1, 5/5 equals 1, so it's going to stay the same, but then I can actually subtract it because it'll have a common denominator. Identity property says that this 2/2 is still equals to 1. It's the same thing. And this gives me my 8/10. 8 minus 5 is 3. The denominator stays the same. 8 minus nothing is still my 8. 8 and 3/5. I don't know. I think that you took away like 1/2. You just took 1 from there, I guess. I'm not really sure, but that doesn't make any sense. This is less than a whole, so another way to think about it. This is less than a whole, and this is a half. So you have less than a whole, and you take a half away from it. Would your answer be more than a half? Well, no, that doesn't make any sense. You can't have less than 1 whole, take a half away, and then say I have more than a half. It just doesn't make any logical sense there. So the answer for here would have to be B. The next question is finding the difference again. However, this one, there's no whole number. So I got 2 got this one wrong, so that's a little bit confusing since 3 got this one wrong. I would imagine that probably the same 3 would have got this one wrong, so maybe a careless mistake up here. But again, difference means subtract. We're subtracting that from that. We need a common denominator. Some of you may have chosen that you'd make it 32. I would not, because if I just change this one, I got myself my common denominator, and I don't have to do a bunch of simplification at the end. So 7/8 minus 2/8 equals 5/8, which is already in simplest form, and then there's my 5/8, 2 chose 3/4. Not sure how you got 3/4. I thought I had more time to think about it. I probably could, but that's the answer anyways. All of you got number 11 correct, so you know how to find common denominators, so that's very encouraging. This one. Anytime that you see a model, you got to get rid of the model, meaning you got to put it back into number form. So these are 10 pieces, so this is 9/10. And you want to write it out, 9/10. You want to get rid of this. This is no good. This is 1, 2, 3. So minus 3/10. This one's really only asking, what is that showing? We had one that said that this is 4/10, and that's just super careless. There's only 3 of them that are actually there. So you gotta slow down. This one is like the ball is coming towards my body, and all I have to do is let the ball hit my body and it will go in. So don't get these ones wrong, because if you're getting 100% got this one right, and this one is way, 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 way harder than this one. So make sure that you're focusing on the easy ones just as much as the perceived difficult ones. All right, the final couple. We got number 13 here. What was left? You actually all did pretty well, although this one's kind of tough. So they ate all of this, and that's out of 1 whole. And they want to know what's left. So I got to figure out what was eaten. So I take my 1/3, and I add my 1/4, and then I add my 1/6 to see what's eaten. And then whatever was eaten, I'll subtract from 1 whole, which is my whole pie, or my whole cake, I'm sorry. So I got 3, 4, and 6, so that's going to be a common denominator of 12. Now you can actually have a common denominator that's more than 12. You might have to do simplification at the end, but it doesn't matter. I try to always think ahead to get the smallest common denominator. so that I don't have to do a bunch of simplification at the end. So this is what they ate, okay? That's 7, 8, 9. So they ate 9/16 of the cake. Well, that would mean, so if this is what they ate, that means that there would be what? 7/16 of the cake left? Okay, 7/16. Although, no, I didn't do that right. 7, 8, 9, 16. Oh, not 16, I'm sorry, this is a 12. See, that's a good showing too, that instead of me like just guessing and putting down the answer, I recognized that I had done something wrong because nothing made sense. Okay, so I ate 9/12 of the cake. I'm sorry. That would leave me with 3/12 that is left. Well, we got to simplify because 3/12 won't be there. If I divide both by 3, I get 1/4. And that's right there, 1/4. Okay? Kind of answer spread all about throughout here. Make sure that you're writing it out, thinking about it, taking mental breaks, okay? Doing some strategies. All right, last two, okay? This one, most of us did pretty well. This one's kind of tough too, so, you guys are actually doing better on the harder ones. Billy gets $30 a month for allowance. He spent $15 buying a DVD and saved the rest. How much money did he save? Well, he had $30, okay? And then he spent, now remember, this is place value, so that's why I put that decimal in those extra 2 zeros, so that I can have a spot for my cents there. And I subtract. I gotta do a bunch of borrowing, so this become a 10 and then a 9. This become a 10, then a 9, and this become a 10. And then I get 8, 2, bring my decimal place straight down. Okay, 4, 1. $14.28. Okay, had somebody choose 15, 28. Okay, let's do it the other way. Let's think this way. Let's say that you're not good at subtraction. Well, watch this. If this is how much that he spent, and you're telling me this is how much he saved, watch what happens when I add them. $31. Well, his allowance was 30. That's another way to think about it. You can even take this question, that subtraction, and add all of these choices to here and find which one equals 30. Another way to do it. And the last one that was on the first part, okay. Daniel bought 2 books shown below. The prices include tax. What was the total cost? So all we got to do is add these together. We got 2 got it wrong. 2 chose A. Okay, well, we just don't add it in your head, of course. Doing any of these in your head is not good. So if I take 1146 and add 954, line up everything, decimal points, bring decimal point straight down. 6 plus 4 is 10, carry the 1. 4 plus 5 is 9, plus 1 is 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 1, carry the 1. 2. $28, okay? I had 3 that chose A. Okay, here's another strategy. If you look just at the cents, okay, just the cents, and you take 54 cents and added 46 cents, you get $1. And if you do 11 plus $9 and you had $1, you have no cents remaining, which means that your answer would have no cents. Okay, no joke intended, but these make no sense. Get it? Sense, okay. But so when you go through these questions, it's all about how you think about them, okay? Because really, you can answer a lot of these questions just through logic, meaning you might not even know how to add or subtract certain things, and you can just look at the test and be like, oh, that makes sense, or no, that doesn't make sense, okay? So hopefully these are helpful for you when you take the first part of the second practice test this morning. If I would give you one suggestion, it's to slow down and do strategies like I did. If you look at my papers, they're written all over. That's how I would actually do the test, okay? And I'm teaching it. My brain doesn't feel fatigued because I didn't have to do everything in my head, okay? I just do it all on the paper, okay? It's like writing a grocery list. If you try to remember the grocery list, you're constantly using your brain to try to remember. But if you write the grocery list down, I don't have to worry about it at all because I can just look at the grocery list. Okay, oh, I forgot, let me look at the grocery list. So that's what you want to do. You don't want to use the mental part you want to focus on, the strategies, okay? So once this is finished, and once you've gotten through all of this, go on to eCart. You're going to see another test that's going to be titled Grade 4 Practice SOL. First part, Friday, May 18th. Second part, Monday, May 21st. There's only 13 questions on the first part. I'm going to give you this morning show your work page. Take your time, do those first 13 questions. When you finish the first 13, hit save and exit, and then you can go on to Blackboard and play the logic games.